Well, this is a kind of sucky escalation, if you ask me. I really hope that people that are going to this rally go there with the idea of peaceful demonstration, but we will see. I got three things pulled up for you. One of them is the actual declaration of emergency. Virginia declares emergency as tensions escalate over gun rights rally. Organizers have unleashed something much larger, something they may not be able to control, Virginia's governor said, referencing the idea. Now, it's kind of weird to think that he is scared of the idea of Americans standing up for their rights. But I understand the idea that nobody wants violence. Let's try to stay away from that. I mean, violence isn't going to do anybody any good at this point, so let's keep it civil. So I do have here the state of emergency. I'll read it here in just a second, but I'm going to read a little bit on this first. Fearing a repeat of the deadly march by white nationalists in Charlottesville in 2017, and in case you don't remember that was where the car had plowed through a crowd of people and one person was killed. A horrible tragedy. Nobody wants a repeat of that. But there comes a point when you got to ask, is he going too far, declaring a state of emergency? I don't know. It seems like an escalation to an escalation, but he says he has credible evidence. What is his credible intelligence? Let's find out. Fearing the repeat of Charlottesville, Governor Ralph Northam on Wednesday declared a state of emergency and temporarily banned people from carrying guns and other weapons on the grounds of the state capitol, where thousands of gun rights activists are expected to rally next week against stricter gun control laws. Northam said he had made the call after hearing credible intelligence from law enforcement that armed militias and hate groups, some from outside Virginia, planned to disrupt the event. So here is the actual state of emergency from the executive order for Virginia. Commonwealth of Virginia, from the Office of the Governor. Number 49, 2020. Declaration of a state of emergency due to potential civil unrest at the Virginia state capitol. Importance of the issue. The Commonwealth of Virginia is a welcoming state. Virginians understand that diversity of opinion keeps our democracy strong. The more voices involved in our political dialogue, the stronger we are. Civil discourse, even and especially amongst those who disagree, is critical to our democracy's evolution and success. And I totally agree with that. Dissenting opinions should be heard. If somebody believes that their rights in this instance are being trampled, something that was legal and is now illegal, now thereby making legal, law-abiding citizens instantly criminals, isn't right. It isn't the way to go. And it seems like each side is escalating to the other side, and then the other side escalates, and then one side hears, well, there's going to be these people, but let's hope it works out peacefully. When the civility of that political discourse breaks down, the Commonwealth suffers. 3 years ago, Virginia and the nation watched horrified as civil protest was marred by violence and hate. The events that occurred in Charlottesville, Virginia, demonstrated what can happen when peaceful demonstrations are hijacked by those who come into the Commonwealth. Yes, but what you're doing could actually escalate things even more. So his credible intelligence, that's an oxymoron, incredible intelligence. Credible intelligence, we are reading right here. Credible intelligence gathered by Virginia's law enforcement agencies indicates that tens of thousands of advocates plan to converge on Capitol Square for events culminating on January 20th, 2020. Available information suggests that a substantial number of these demonstrators are expected to come from outside the Commonwealth, may be armed, and have as their purpose not peaceful assembly but violence, rioting, and insurrection. Assuring that Virginia's Capitol Square and surrounding public areas are sheltered, safe places for those who come to participate in the democratic process, as well as those who work on or near Capitol Square is my greatest priority. So it has some bulletin points down here of what the state of emergency will entail. In order to marshal all public resources and appropriate preparedness, response, and recovery measures, I order the following actions. A. Activation of the Virginia Emergency Operations Center and the Virginia Emergency Support Team as directed by the State Coordinator of Emergency Management to coordinate the provisions of assistance to state and local governments and to facilitate emergency services assignments to other agencies. So they can shuffle around emergency service agencies to where they believe they would best be used. That includes health and law enforcement. So ambulances, fire departments, they can tell them to be over here on standby or go over here, or they can even change their roles a little bit as needed according to the emergency. Authorization for the heads of executive branch agencies on behalf of their regulatory boards as appropriate and with the concurrence of their cabinet secretary to waive any state requirement or regulation and to enter into contracts without regard to normal procedures or formalities and without regard to application or permit fees or royalties. All waivers issued by agencies shall be posted on their websites. Well, at least they're saying that they have to post them on the websites. Okay. That's going to make it easier for them to pass pretty much things lightning fast. To provide for the shelter and safety of state employees who work on or near the Virginia State Capitol and those who come to peacefully assemble and consistent with the General Assembly's prohibition on weapons in the Virginia State Capitol and the Pocahontas buildings. And Executive Order 50, McAuliffe, which prohibits firearms in offices occupied by executive branch agencies. No weapons, including firearms, may be carried or possessed on any land, real property, or improvements owned by the Commonwealth of Virginia within the area bounded by Broad Street, 9th Street, Bank Street, and Governor Street in the city of Richmond, Virginia, as well as any Commonwealth-owned parking lots for Virginia's Department of Transportation, the Madison Building, the Monroe Building, the Patrick Henry Building, Washington Building, the Jefferson Building, and the Oliver Hill Building. And then it just describes firearms and weapons. We know what firearms and weapons are. It's common sense for everybody. No caustic substances. I believe you can carry a knife. That's what this one says. The prohibition with respect to weapons other than firearms shall not apply to A. any person possessing a knife customarily used for food preparation or service and using it for such purposes. So if you're cutting your steak in that area, you're okay. The SWAT team is not going to knock you over and take you out because you have a steak knife in your hand. B. Any person who possesses a knife or blade that he uses customarily in his trade and using it in such trade. I use a knife in my trade consistently. It's almost a required tool to have. I use knives so much, little pocket knives in my trade so much that I wear through them. So I have a few. So what if I'm walking through and I have it in my pocket? I'm assuming that would be legal because I'm heading through, but what if I have forgotten? Then that would be illegal, I'm guessing. So, best course of action if you don't want to have a conflict legally, just don't take anything. Don't take a gun, don't take a knife, don't take anything that could be a weapon. Any tool used by a person customarily in his trade and being used pursuant to a contract with the legislative branch agency. So, no, taking your pitchfork and saying that you're a professional vampire hunter does not count. Or D, any tool used by a state employee as a condition of his position and being used in the scope of employment. The prohibition with respect to weapons other than firearms shall not apply to any ceremonial weapon currently on display or use in a legislative branch agency. Or use. I can see them on display, but what ceremonial weapon are they using? I'm sure they have some, like, ancient firearms and swords and whatnot on the walls, but what are they using? Okay. This prohibition applies to both the open and the concealed carry of firearms and other weapons. So don't think that because you have a concealed carry license that you're okay. You're not. You will be. And use your best judgment. I know I can scream to the high heavens saying, hey, you know, try not to escalate things, but you are you, are you, are you. And use your best judgment. And if you value, you know, freedom and rule of law, leave it at home and protest peacefully. Leave everything at home and protest peacefully. That's my recommendation. Exempt from paragraph C's prohibitions are all on-duty sworn law enforcement officer personnel, of course, any other person acting in coordination with the Division of Capitol Police as determined by its chief. But wait a second. What about the chiefs that have deputized their entire area, all the citizens? Does that mean if the police deputized everybody there that they'd be perfectly okay carrying weapons? What was it? 98 counties have declared themselves Second Amendment sanctuaries, and within those sanctuaries, in some of the places, the chief of police has literally deputized all the citizens. I hope this doesn't escalate, but there's at least a little bit of information for you. If you are going to this, be careful. Use your best judgment. I recommend peaceful demonstration. Nobody wants this to escalate. I'll stay informed of this and let you guys know what's going on, but leave your likes and comments and subscribes and whatnot. Anything helps me beat this algorithm. YouTube hates me. Every video is pretty much just tagged right away, but you guys can help with that because you guys. See, YouTube is kind of like the United States, of the people, by the people, for the people. Of YouTube, by YouTube, for YouTube. And you guys are YouTube. So you guys make all the difference in the world, and you guys are the awesomests. I'll see you on the next one.